Police in Galena warn about a rise in car break-ins. Plus, Souls Harbor makes changes to keep warming stations open while taking precautions against COVID-19. And the Pittsburgh Area Chamber of Commerce hosts a contest to draw people downtown.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Police in Galena, Kansas are warning the public about a recent string of car break-ins. This is KOAM News at 10. I'm Kate Kelly. Officers say last night vehicles were burglarized all over town and that they've received numerous calls from citizens about the break-ins. The thefts have been happening from 3rd to 27th Streets and haven't been concentrated in any specific location. There's no word yet if Galena police suspect one person or multiple people of the crimes, but they are reaching out to the public and asking for tips. They're also reminding folks not to leave valuables in their vehicles. Warming stations are a necessity for those within the homeless population as colder weather comes around, but the safety of those stations during a pandemic is a concern. KOAM's Caitlin Shive tells us about Souls Harbor's solution to keep everyone safe and warm in Joplin. As temperatures start to drop and colder months creep upon us, places like Souls Harbor are doing what they can to keep the homeless population warm.
You can't leave them out in the cold, irregardless. You cannot leave them out in the cold. So my next thought was, okay, well, if we don't want them in a housing unit, where can we put them?
Normally, Souls Harbor's housing area is opened up as a warming station, able to fit more than 100 people in the dining area.
This year, that's not possible with this COVID thing going on. We had to find a separate place to put them.
Souls Harbor already endured a coronavirus outbreak with their residents before, so having a space where everyone in need of warmth could come but still be safe is very important.
We have a chapel and pantry that are a block down from the housing unit, so we've opened up the chapel for them to come in and stay in the chapel overnight when it's that cold.
They are able to space people out within the pews of the chapel and the pantry area with a volunteer overlooking the station.
You know, even in regular times, we would still have to sanitize behind them. We still have to do the extra laundry every night. So there's a lot of extra added expense and a lot of extra added work to it. In this particular case, though, it's double because now you have to find staff to come down here and monitor the situation where we could just have it all in one.
Diana says they haven't had many people utilize the spot yet, but are happy to have a plan in place and a place to provide others with warmth.
It's very important to have cold weather warming stations because, yeah, once it gets to freezing out there, I mean, you're going to see people who get more sick than they ever have been. You're going to have frostbite situations, and you're going to have people that are going to die if they get left out there in the cold to freeze.
In Joplin, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News. The chapel is open as a warming station every day from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. The Pittsburgh Area Chamber of Commerce is hosting a contest to encourage people to take a stroll downtown. The idea is to guess which holiday song is the theme of decorated store windows. Several local shops are taking part. Each participating location has a poster with a QR code. If you want to play along, you can download a guessing form and scan that QR code with your phone to submit your guesses. The winner will be drawn on January 4th and get to take home $100 in chamber bucks. Nick Kelly joins us now with our first look at weather. Definitely cold out there. It was nice to have the sunshine again today, though.
Yeah, it definitely was, Kate. And before we turned cold, once we got past sunset, it was nice to see temperatures a little warmer than normal, sure, but after a cold Christmas, we're not going to complain about highs near 61 after we started at 50 for a chilly Sunday morning across the area. We've had quiet skies all day long. We're seeing a little bit of cloud cover in spots working through and more cloud cover building out to the west. That's certainly going to start heading in tomorrow as our next storm system begins to get its act together well off to our west. In the meantime, though, as you hit the nail on the head, Kate, certainly cold out there, upper 30s to near 40 degrees right now. And I don't think we're done dropping off just yet. I don't think we go a lot colder from here, but I'm expecting upper 20s to some lower 30s to start the morning out. And despite increasing clouds, we will see temperatures warm up some tomorrow with highs near 41. We're still set for our midweek storm system, but some changes in the forecast for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. We'll break down those changes coming up in a bit, Kate.
All right, thanks, Nick. President Trump has signed a $900 billion COVID relief bill days after saying he was not happy with how much it was offering most Americans in one-time stimulus checks. The move comes after 2 pandemic unemployment programs that give financial help to some 14 million Americans expired at midnight on Saturday. CBS News correspondent Nancy Chen reports from New York.
Late Sunday, President Trump signed the bipartisan COVID relief bill that Congress passed a week ago. In a statement, he said, "As President of the United States, it is my responsibility to protect the people of our country from the economic devastation and hardship that was caused by the China virus." On Tuesday, he threw the bill's future into uncertainty when he released a video criticizing plans for $600 stimulus checks to most Americans as inadequate. Instead, he demanded $2,000 payouts.
Many millions of people are losing their extended unemployment benefits. They're going to be evicted from their apartments because the eviction moratorium is ending.
Democrats on Capitol Hill backed the idea but were blocked by Republicans.
Why would we be sending $2,000 to people with a six-figure income who've had no suspension, no reduction of their income at all? It should be targeted to people who've actually lost their job. Small businesses that are actually in danger of going under.
Over the weekend, the legislation's outlook seemed murky. In a tweet Saturday, the president called the $600 payout in the current bill measly. After golfing with President Trump on Friday, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham tweeted that the president is more determined than ever to increase those payments. Nancy Chen, CBS News.
The spending bill also includes $1.4 trillion in funding to keep the federal government running. The bill also provides an extra $300 a week in unemployment benefits through mid-March. Preparations are underway for the New Year's iconic celebration in Times Square. Today, workers and technicians installed 192 sparkling new Waterford crystal triangles featuring this year's Gift of Happiness design on the New Year's Eve ball. This year, Times Square will not be open to the public because of the coronavirus pandemic, but the annual celebration will be live streamed around the world. Organizers are calling the event a first-of-its-kind virtual experience that gamifies the experience in Times Square. That's news and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next, authorities identify the bomber responsible for the Christmas Day explosion in Nashville. Authorities named the bomber behind the violent Christmas Day blast in the city's downtown. He's identified as 63-year-old Anthony Warner, and authorities have released his photo. CBS's Mola Lingi is in Nashville with the latest.
Investigators say they were able to match DNA samples from the blast scene with samples obtained from Warner's property. CBS News has learned they also matched those with DNA from Warner's mother. Authorities are still looking for a motive, including whether Warner may have been targeting the communications infrastructure in Nashville.
This RV was parked outside an AT&T transmission building in downtown Nashville when it exploded, knocking out cell and Wi-Fi service from Tennessee to Alabama. The RV is similar to the one seen here in this Google Maps image, parked at Anthony Quinn Warner's home just outside Nashville. Law enforcement sources tell CBS News witnesses say Warner may have had an interest in conspiracy theories about 5G technology. One source confirmed that Warner's late father had worked at AT&T. Former FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence Frank Figluzzi said on Face the Nation that this act was personal.
I think it's quite likely that this was a suicide mission for this individual.
Today, investigators continued their search for evidence around the crime scene, anything to help explain the explosion. Initially responding to reports of gunfire on Christmas morning, officers heard a countdown begin through a PA system on the RV.
You can hear this message. Evacuate now.
As they rushed to evacuate people nearby, the song Downtown by Petula Clark blared in between the minutes in the countdown. Then, the music stopped.
I just see orange, and then I hear a loud boom, and as I'm stumbling, because it rocked me that hard, I started stumbling, I just tell myself to stay on your feet, stay alive.
Officers James Wells and Amanda Topping worked the scene together.
I grabbed him, he grabbed me, and we just ducked into a doorway because we didn't know what was coming afterwards.
And uncertainty eased by leaning on one another.
Authorities say they continue to investigate all leads, including a motive, which has not yet been determined. But at this point, they say it does not appear that anyone else was involved in this bombing. Mola Lingi, CBS News, Nashville.
Rutherford and Wilson County deputies are investigating a report of a suspicious vehicle in Tennessee this afternoon. Authorities said a box truck played audio similar to what was heard before the RV exploded in downtown Nashville on Christmas morning. As a precaution, nearby residents were evacuated during the investigation into the truck. A man faces murder charges and attempted murder charges after being arrested following the shooting at a bowling alley in Rockford, Illinois. 37-year-old Duke Webb, a resident of Florida and active military member, is currently being held in the Winnebago County Jail without bond. On Saturday, Webb shot and killed 3 people. 3 others were sent to the hospital. Nick Kelly returns with a full look at your forecast next. And a little later, an Oklahoma man gets a new lease on life after a long-awaited presidential pardon.
Dig it.
Our main weather focus this week will continue to be the storm system on the way with a couple changes around New Year. So let's just dive right in. First, for we've been throughout the course of the day. Nice looking sky, partly to mostly sunny skies from indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. In fact, all across the area today. That allowed temperatures to go from a chilly start near 50 to highs in the lower 60s for many of you this afternoon. Likewise, though, once we got past sunset, it turned pretty chilly fast. 40 degrees in Joplin, feels like 33 with a northwest breeze at about 12 miles per hour. It's starting to push everybody back into the middle to upper 30s now. For some spots, though, along the south of I-44, you're trying your best to hold on to lower 40s, but everyone's going to drop back into the upper 20s and some lower 30s as we head into your Monday morning. At least for now, the Skywise storm tracker is still quiet as can be behind our last cold front, though it snuck through earlier this afternoon. Behind it, though, high pressure temporarily keeping us quiet for tonight and Monday while we keep an eye not only on our next cold front just off the coast of California, but upstairs at the jet stream level. We're also watching our next upper low, ready to work out of the Pacific and start heading our way as we head toward the middle of the week. Looking at where we go from here, we'll just keep things quiet for the course of the night with partly cloudy skies coming and going, rather. Otherwise, temperatures, no surprise here, they'll stay cold with upper 20s and lower 30s for overnight lows. I think Joplin bottoms out around 29. And even though it's going to be much cooler tomorrow, still looking okay temperature-wise, 37 by noon and afternoon highs around 41. That's a respectable warm-up despite mostly cloudy skies in place and a light northeast breeze at 5 to 10 during the afternoon. And the same goes for everybody. Everyone will top out. There we go. In the lower 40s for your Monday afternoon. Now let's focus on the next storm system on the way. Here's 6 o'clock with that next front working across the desert southwest. The brunt of that snow doesn't quite make it here, but with temperatures near the freezing mark by Tuesday morning, so some of us may start with rain chances Tuesday morning, while others could see a little bit of freezing rain try to mix in. It's going to be a brief window of opportunity for some freezing rain because as soon as we get past the morning drive, we'll see highs back near 50 for the rest of your Tuesday, meaning rain chances for the rest of the day. If you're concerned about ice amounts Tuesday morning, I'm keeping them fairly low, between a glaze and 1/10 of an inch. So a big ice storm, this is not looking like it's going to be. So we'll just continue to keep an eye on our potential for a little bit of freezing rain for Tuesday morning. But looking at rain, a good bet for Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning. Then here comes that cold front, switching our rain chances to a rain-snow mix, depending on how fast temperatures drop as the moisture continues to stick around for Wednesday. But we're not done with the system by New Year's Eve. Have a look at this. The upper low, or the surface low, coming out of Louisiana, wants to try and skirt us off to the east, only just. That means a chance for freezing rain and sleet possibly for some on Thursday before this ends as some morning snow on Friday as we kick off 2021. So plenty to watch with the storm system on the way, but at least we're quiet for tomorrow before things kick into gear. 41, let's go 50 on Tuesday, 52, and dropping rapidly on Wednesday. And then we'll definitely be cold as we ring in the new year, Kate.
All right, sounds like good advice, honestly. We'll enjoy what we have and just keep our eye on that wintry mix coming up.
Yeah, Doug, Michael, and I will be keeping our eyes only on that storm system this week.
Thanks, Nick. Coming up a little later, this time of year, a big crowd is normally hitting the slopes, but this year is unlike any other. How COVID-19 is impacting the ski industry. Earlier this week, President Trump granted a full pardon to a man who pled guilty in 1952 to helping a family member illegally distill moonshine in Oklahoma. Tulsa's Ashlyn Brothers shares how this pardon is helping this Muskogee native move forward.
Humble beginnings and troublesome teenage years.
Well, I tell you, back then it was tough, boy, and there wasn't many jobs around here. And of course, I wasn't the only one that was doing it.
Lee Crum was a teenager when he first started making moonshine in the woods with his wife's uncle.
That's the only trouble I was ever in my life, and I've tried to do what was right.
At 19 years old, Crum was caught.
That's the only night, the only day I ever spent in jail, and I didn't want no more. I didn't like it.
He tells me he served 3 years of probation and paid a $250 fine. Nearly 70 years after Crum's guilty plea on Tuesday, President Trump pardoned him.
Why did I stop? Because they caught me.
Crum says he's eternally grateful to Senator Inhofe, who several years ago began spearheading this.
I don't understand why it took so long. I know a lot of people that's done a lot worse. They didn't get the time that I got.
Crum couldn't believe when he got the call that cleared his conviction.
I can't explain it. And I'm so proud that I finally got it.
Crum says ever since, he's tried to stay on the right side of the law.
I've been a pretty good boy all these years.
He credits his late wife of almost 70 years for helping him become a better man.
She didn't say a whole lot, but she didn't like it.
And wishes she was still around to see this success story.
Oh, she'd been thrilled. She would have been thrilled.
He also credits his faith.
I don't remember how long it's been since I got in church, but I should have done it while my wife was living.
Crum says his record is a cloud that loomed over him but shaped him into who he is today.
It definitely affected me. It's been kind of tough, but I got by all right.
Crum says with his clean slate, he plans on finally getting himself a gun. We take this time now to honor another four-state hero. Lee Hardy served in the Army, spending time stationed in Germany from 1944 to 1945. He earned a Bronze Star for his service. His hometown, Liberal, Missouri. We thank you, Lee Hardy, our four-state hero. America's top ski destinations are usually popular getaways during the holidays. Alta, Utah boasts it has the greatest snow on Earth. But this COVID winter, just staying open has been a challenge. Here's CBS's Anna Werner.
Even without a pandemic, there's no question Devin Klein practices social distancing on the job.
It's a fun job, cool place to be.
He's a snowcat driver who smooths out the rough spots on ski slopes as the sun sets each night. But there aren't as many skiers cutting tracks in the snow these days, and after-hours business isn't what it used to be. Skiing is open, but restricted at all 10 of Utah's world-class resorts. But operators fear closures that have already hit California ski lodges and curtailed ski slope operations there might influence Utah officials to cut back more than they already have.
Typically in here we would have 7 rows of tables along here, and this year we have 4.
The iconic Rustler Lodge sits mainly empty. Lodge General Manager Tom Pollard.
We're sitting here in the bar, and that's usually been open to the public where people can come in after skiing, but that's all closed out to the outside guests right now.
Gone, too, are a third of Rustler's employees. Nearby in Park City, with the county's ski-centered economy, the unemployment rate is above 20%. Yet the adventurous are pushing back and doing what it takes for the love of skiing.
I was splitboarding today, so I guess sticking to the backcountry more.
To get there, he has to get past Buffy Sarubi.
Can you pull up your mask for me?
A 5-year chairlift foreman whose duties expanded this year to include coronavirus protection.
We're making sure that everyone's boarding with their masks on. You know, we have multiple signs everywhere, so no one has an excuse.
We've proven, and I think we've seen nationwide, that being outside on a chairlift in the wind and outdoors is about as safe as you can get.
Nathan Rafferty, president of the Ski Utah Association, lived through one season of closures already. We first met him last spring, shortly after Utah's ski season abruptly shut down. Back then, he was helping to collect goggles for doctors and nurses at a time when eye protections were in short supply. Now he's helping to enforce strict measures to make sure the U.S. ski industry doesn't suffer a $2 billion loss like last year.
They're all operating here in Utah today under stricter protocols than even our state government has mandated.
But the slopes here any other year would be full. Tom Pollard says many of his regular customers just aren't coming.
There's a little bit of sadness in your heart when somebody decided that this is not the season that they're going to come to Alta.
Copy that. Thank you.
Yet Devin Klein keeps grooming snow, hoping, like everyone here, that there'll be more skiers coming to carve turns, so he'll have to do it all over again. Anna Werner, CBS News.
Gusts of wind and heavy rain battered the Disney Magic cruise ship at the port of Dover today as Storm Bella swept across Britain and France. The 11-deck luxury ship stationed at Dover since its arrival in Kent on May 19th has yet to make the return journey back to its home port in Florida. The 3 other ships in the Disney Cruise Liner fleet have already made their journeys home as trips have been canceled through to at least March 2021 due to the coronavirus pandemic. We'll be back with a final check of the forecast next. A fast food eatery discovered in Pompeii has now been completely excavated, helping to reveal some of the favorite dishes of the citizens of the ancient Roman city. While some 80 such fast food restaurants had been found here, this was the first time one had been entirely excavated. The eatery is known as the Thermopolium since it served hot food. A fragment of a duck bone was found inside one of the containers, along with remains from goats, fish, and snails. Fast food sure has changed since then, and Nick, I'm so glad it has.
I'm just so amazed that fast food was a thing well before our time.
Yeah, turns out we're always looking for something convenient.
Yes, we certainly are. In the meantime, though, a quick recap of our forecast, if you don't mind. 41, mostly cloudy tomorrow. Then we'll focus on our next storm system with rain and possibly wintry weather Tuesday, Wednesday, and possibly New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. We'll keep a close eye on that.
All right, thanks for watching. Good night.
If you see news happening, tell us about it.